Tampa, Florida. This is Democracy Now! Breaking with Convention. War, peace, and the presidency. We're broadcasting from the Republican National Convention inside and out.
And I'm out here because the whole world's upside down, and we need to set it right. We need to put the earth first and people first and money last.
As protesters march on the Republican convention, it's party time for corporate lobbyists. We'll speak with the Sunlight Foundation about how AT&T, McDonald's, Comcast, and other firms are skirting campaign finance laws to host massive parties for Republican lawmakers. Then there are the shadowy nonprofits. Then the fight for voting rights. A Tea Party-linked organization has launched a nationwide poll-watching effort, while millions of voters could be disenfranchised due to new voter ID laws. And Democracy Now!'s Mike Burke questions Ken Blackwell, the former Ohio Secretary of State, about the disputed 2004 election.
My answer is this. Ohio, examined by Ohio newspapers and election authorities, had a good election, a clean election, not a perfect election, but a good and fair election in 2004.
But the question raised in this
that
book,
is
sir.
my answer. Over and out.
And an Israeli court clears Israel's military of any blame for the death of 23-year-old American peace activist Rachel Corrie. She was crushed by an Israeli army bulldozer during a pro-Palestinian demonstration in Gaza 9 years ago. We'll go to Haifa to speak with Rachel's mother, Cindy. All that and more coming up. Where are the headlines? This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Tropical storm Isaac is heading through the Gulf of Mexico, threatening to batter the Gulf Coast. Federal officials expect the storm to develop into a Category 1 hurricane and make landfall on Wednesday. The storm will mark the most serious test of New Orleans' rebuilt levees in the 7 years since Hurricane Katrina. U.S. government scientists have disclosed the sea ice in the Arctic Ocean has melted to its smallest size ever, potentially signaling that the worst-case scenario of global warming is becoming a reality. The National Snow and Ice Data Center and the National Space Agency says the Arctic sea ice has dwindled to some 27,000 square miles, less than the previous record set in 2007. The ice will likely continue to melt with several weeks of summer weather still to come. In a statement, government scientists said the melting of the Arctic sea ice, quote, is considered a strong signal of long-term climate warming. Speaking to Agence France-Presse, Michael Mann, the author of a major 2001 report on climate change and director of the Earth Systems Science Center at Penn State University, said, quote, "This is an example that points more to the worst-case scenario side of things. There are a number of areas where, in fact, climate change seems to be proceeding faster and with a greater magnitude than what the models predicted." An Israeli judge has cleared Israel's military of responsibility for the killing of the U.S. peace activist Rachel Corrie. A 23-year-old college student from Olympia, Washington, Corrie was crushed to death by an Israeli army bulldozer in Gaza 9 years ago. She was standing in front of a Palestinian home to help prevent its demolition. Today's ruling came in a wrongful death civil suit brought by Rachel Corrie's family, with the judge rejecting any negligence on the part of the driver and finding that Corrie's death resulted from, quote, an accident she brought upon herself. Rachel Corrie family Hussein Abu Hussein denounced the verdict.
The strong evidence presented in court and contradicts fundamental principles of international law with regard to protection of human rights defenders. In denying justice in Rachel Corrie killing, this verdict speaks to the systematic failure to hold the Israeli military accountable for continuing violation of basic human rights.
The ruling follows an earlier internal Israeli army investigation that also exonerated the bulldozer drivers. The Corrie family had been seeking a symbolic $1 in damages as well as legal fees. We'll have more on the verdict later in the broadcast. We'll speak with Rachel Corrie's mother, Cindy, in Haifa. The U.S. military's lightly reprimanded troops involved in incidents that sparked deadly unrest in Afghanistan earlier this year, Marines urinating on corpses and the burning of copies of the Quran. On Monday, both the Army and Marine Corps said the service members involved had received administrative punishments, such as demotions or reductions in pay, but no criminal charges. The burning of Qurans at Bagram Air Base sparked violence that killed at least 6 U.S. soldiers and dozens of Afghans. And the Syrian government has carried out a series of airstrikes around the capital, Damascus, reportedly leading to dozens of deaths. Syrian activists say at least 60 people were killed in a series of bombings. The attacks came hours after a Syrian military helicopter crashed in Damascus and after reportedly taking rebel fire. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.